Hello and welcome to our next installment of Wonder Woman Wednesdays, where we get to know a lovely woman from somewhere in the world. We get to hear about her journey, what makes her tick, and learn how she makes the world a better place a little bit every day. And today, my guest is Katie. And how do you pronounce her last name? Because I don't want to say it incorrectly.
Hasson.
Hasson. Katie Hasson. And she is joining us from sunny Singapore. Hello, Katie.
Hi, how are you?
This series is about Wonder Woman, and in case you guys are wondering, it's about 8 a.m. in Singapore, and she's already been to the gym. So just tells you what an overachiever this person is. Whereas at 8 a.m., if I have my coffee, then we're lucky. So, Katie, how did you make it to Singapore? I guess you haven't always lived there.
I haven't always lived there. I'm a beach bum, as you can see from my blonde hair, from Sydney, Australia. And probably about 8.5 years ago, I moved to Singapore, wanting a change. Said I would stay here 2 years, and 8.5 years still here in beautiful Singapore, and now obviously stuck with the whole COVID situation. So yeah, every year I say it's the final year, but I think, you know, anyone who's been in Singapore, it's a great place to live. And I think definitely being in Australia, it's quite localized, and here I work in such a global environment, which is quite cool and refreshing.
You know what? I could say the exact same thing about Sydney, because I went to Sydney for grad school and it was for 1 year. Ended up staying 6, and that was now 10 years ago that I left Australia, but I never actually left Australia because every chance I get, I go, and I've worked with like 3 different Aussie companies. So if you go home, I don't think it's a bad choice.
Yeah, one day, yeah, very soon, hopefully, yeah.
So I would love to learn about, well, what you do now, but kind of the path that professionally took you where you are today, because part of what we want to do with this series is to inspire other young women to kind of show them what opportunities are out there. Just the fact that you get to live in Singapore is pretty cool, but your job is pretty cool too.
Yeah. Look, I'm very blessed to say right now I'm in my dream job. Also, what is quite inspiring is to say that it's been a really, really long journey to get here. So just to give you guys some context, I've been working at the same organization, which is a global bank, for 7.5 years. I've got 2 children. So I've got a little boy who's 5 and a little girl, she's turning 4 next week. I can't believe it. So when I had my first boy, I started working part-time. I came back to work. They don't have a very good maternity leave here after 3 months. And I started working part-time ever since. And it's interesting, I had been working part-time. It was probably about for 3.5 years, and everyone was saying, you know, come on, Katie, you're working still 3 days a week, get back into the workforce. And to be honest, I didn't feel inclined. I was in a role, I was a project manager, I was dealing with 27 countries, and I just had lost the spirit of it. I'd been doing it for so long, and yet I didn't feel inclined to go back. And I think it was kind of through that desperation that I just didn't feel that I was really living my full potential. And that's when I started getting really curious about coaching. And coaching was all about, you know, empowering me to see my full potential. And I think it was kind of through that journey that I thought, actually coaching is where my heart and soul belongs. And it was really through that I started waking up and getting inspired. And for the first time ever, I was watching YouTube videos and reading and writing and going to seminars, and I really found my purpose. And I think about 1.5 years ago, I was in a good opportunity where I started actively volunteering for diversity and inclusion working groups. And it was there where there's very senior sponsors. And I came up and I pitched an idea about creating an internal coaching program. I was so fascinated with coaching, and yet I was so disappointed. Like I'm sure most of you guys know, to get an external coach, it's like $500 an hour. And I knew that no woman like me could afford that, and it was not sustainable. So what I did through my network is, because I was just so obsessed with coaching, kind of what you focus on is what you find. And automatically I found 9 amazing staff within the organization that I work at, all in different areas of the bank, risk, compliance, everything. And they all had an ICF coaching qualification. And they were all incredible people. And I brought these guys in. I said, I've got an amazing idea. Let's all get together and let's create a program for women. The bank is definitely about empowering women in their leadership journey. And so I created a program. It was 9 coaches, 10 women. And it was through that program that we ran off the side of my desk, by the way, for about 8 months, that there was amazing results, not only from the women, but the coaches. And then my senior sponsor at the time put me in front of the CEO, and I pitched it really solidly. And I've created a role for myself that was never, ever existed at the bank before. And we've grown from 9 coaches last year to now 45. And we've got room for at least 130 by the end of the year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, you know, the thing with my story is it wasn't an easy road. I was doing this for a year on top of my job. And I think the cool thing about it for everyone is, I know a lot of people get fed up with big organizations. For me, it just took one person to believe in me. You know what I mean? It wasn't a whole hierarchical thing. It took one person to see and trust my vision. And he just provided me massive sponsorship. I mean, I had to do the work. And yeah, so now living the dream job.
That's awesome. It just goes to show you that, you know, it just takes that one person, just takes that one person who's going to help you out. So you have to, as someone who maybe is hearing, just persevere. And it's a hard road, but you might get there. But you know what occurs to me, you did this job, right? And you did the hard work, and then you pitched it and you got what you wanted. Why do you think women don't do that enough? And by that, I mean, ask for that help or just put themselves out there. You know, you could have maybe, I don't know if in your situation you could have done this a year ago, but I can think of so many situations where I'm like, yeah, I'll put it off. Why do we do that?
Yeah, look, I think I have the answer. Look,
Tell me.
For me, I was in so much pain. I was in so much pain in my current role. And also at the time, I had an extremely horrible line manager where we didn't get on. And I had found my passion. And whilst day to day for 1 year, I was getting squashed by this one person, for me, there was no other option to change. So there was one shot, and it was to make it within this organization or to step out and go into another organization. Mm-hmm. So sometimes remaining the same, like you have to change because staying the same is just too painful. And so even though change is painful, I couldn't live a lie of walking into the organization in my current role anymore. It had taken over. So I think it's you know, you change because you know you're really attracted to something and you'll go for it. But I think a lot of people change because of just pure pain that they're in. And I think it you know, we're constantly in that dance between what we want and, you know, the comfort of that, and where the tug of war happens and you overturn that. That's when it happens. And for me, that was it. I just had enough. It was just not another day am I living this job anymore. And so for me, it was just my complete focus.
You know, though, it's a shame that it took pain for you to do that. For someone who maybe found their passion, maybe isn't in pain, but found their passion, they know what they want to do. What advice do you give them? How do you encourage someone to just go for it and ask for that thing that they want, that they know will make them happy?
Yeah, look, I think they need to really put together a compelling future, because sometimes I think people are too stuck with what they have now, and you've got to really build and visualize that compelling future. because only then are you going to see what you need to change within yourself to get there. And also you've got to keep changing, and you've got to keep adapting, and also you've got to find the people that can help you. And it's not about asking, it's about doing and proving. You know what I mean? And there is no shortcuts. It's hard work. You know what I mean? We're living in an environment where you can Google and do anything at any time, but it's really about giving the extra mile. And the thing is, people can see when it's authentic. So it's finding something that you're truly passionate about and just delivering something that is better than anyone else, and finding those people that you connect with.
Finding your tribe.
Yeah. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You know, that's also a really important lesson.
I haven't thought about that one. Huh. Yeah, makes sense though. Interesting. I will do some reviewing tomorrow. So your current role, so is Ignite the thing that you created? Is that okay? Cool. So your current role is all about scaling this wonderful thing that we both love, coaching. And you mentioned diversity and inclusion as a big focus in your company. It's something that's finally, I think, getting a bit more time of day. Sadly, I think it's because of all the craziness that's happening in the US, but you know, at least it's getting talked about. And what's interesting to me is diversity means such different things in different countries because we're composed of different things. And I'm just wondering, like, in terms of your experience in Singapore, what are some of the challenges that are unique to Singapore, to Asia, that you think we may not know about in the US or Europe?
Yeah, look, Singapore is extremely multicultural. I mean, the really cool thing about Singapore, I suppose, is, you know, when we look at our public holidays, we have Muslim holidays, Indian holidays, Christian holidays, Buddhist holidays. So it's a really big melting pot. But then, you know, once again, you go into a big organization and there's that disparity that certain cultures dominate, and obviously sexes dominate the hierarchy. So I think that's why diversity and inclusion it's not about the overall numbers, but it's about the numbers from the top to the bottom, both male, female, and obviously culturally. So yeah, look, like all organizations, we have some aggressive targets to meet, and it's about time. And that's why, you know, a lot of people ask me every day, you know, why is Ignite coaching solely kind of that, you know, a level where it's a real glass ceiling in the organization. And it's really to create a more even playing field. And until we can see some progress there, that will be our mission. But, you know, most importantly, when I talk about coaching and coaching women, we must understand that these women are managers of men, and, you know, and so once someone becomes coached, ultimately becomes living to their full potential, and so therefore that has a positive impact on everyone around them. So yeah.
Interesting. As women, gosh, I'm trying not to be too controversial when I say this. We have so many gifts and we have so many obstacles, but it's like you empower a woman, you empower the whole company, the whole family, the whole whatever unit system that she is in. So it's a really cool program that you guys have, and you know, I'm all for empowering women, so I'll leave it there. I will try to keep this as light as possible. Because man, don't get me started. I've got a chip on my shoulder when it comes to that stuff. Anyway, so as a woman rising through the ranks, especially in banking, I mean, talk about a boys' club. I did a stint in insurance. That was close enough, and life is what life is. What are some of the challenges that you still you see that in banking, especially women have, that maybe others don't?
Yeah, look, I mean, most leadership team meetings, you'll be the only woman there. That's a fact. And I think it's about You know, it's interesting. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about lean in circles.
Hmm.
So we've just brought that into the organization. And interestingly enough, a male has sponsored the program. And it's interesting, we had a kickoff and there were 50 women in the room and him in the room. And he was standing in front of the room and he said, he was just looking like a duck, like, you know, like, what is going on? And then it's funny, first thing he said is like, now I know what you women feel like. He's like, I feel so uncomfortable right now. Like, I don't even know where to break the ice or what to start with because it was overbearing. And you know, I'm so glad that he acknowledged that because that's how we feel
Yeah.
every day. But you know what? I just kind of feel that it is what it is, and it's the stories that we tell each other, ourselves. So it's about changing those stories, changing those beliefs, and at the end of the day, these men are just men. And you know, they were sons, and you know, they're probably dads and things like that. So we just need to get into our head about being confident in ourselves, and rather than getting intimidated by them, just being there and being present. And it's not about being a fake man, but it's also not about not being confident in yourself because it's being surrounded by men. Because you know what, going forward, we're always going to face challenges. But I think it's about building confidence in ourselves to hold that space, and just not giving excuses, because there's always going to be an excuse. Men are now, but there'll be something else. You know, then we're going to be complaining, oh my God, there's 18-year-olds running the show. I mean, who knows what we're going to be complaining about, but there'll always
be something.
There'll be something, okay? And so I think it is just really important just to own that, and if we feel that, just unpack it, and see what we could do. Otherwise, we'll always be stuck.
You know, what comes to mind for me is coaching, actually. For me, it's opened up a different way of seeing the world. And I still have many chips on my shoulder, like I said. But for me, the most groundbreaking concept was unconditional positive regard. And that's, you know, the first concept that we teach within our programs, because it changes your perspective. And as coaches, we're not supposed to be judgmental, right? And unconditional positive regard means that you can see the potential in whoever the person is, and you view them as a person, not their gender, not their background, not their age, not their whatever. And I think, yeah, the more people kind of get that sort of understanding, I think we might all feel a bit better working together and living together. Can you imagine if half the people on the planet knew about unconditional positive regard and applied it? Like, we wouldn't have worse.
Yeah. And I think, you know, you're 100% right. But I think, you know, what people don't realize is it's just like going to the gym and working out and getting the most amazing body. It takes effort every single day. So you want to work on your mind and seeing things. It is a constant. And I think not enough people put in the time for their mental fitness every single day, whether it's learning, writing, and practicing those things. Because, you know, a lot of people have been brought up with limiting beliefs about things, and that's just because of how you've been raised. And it's about unpacking those. And until, you know, when we talked about earlier, having a compelling future, we need to say goodbye to all those beliefs. You know, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm never going to be that person presenting on stage, or I'm never going to be dating that guy because I've never been the most popular girl at school. Until we start saying goodbye to those and building something new, we're not going to get to where we want to go. But it takes time, and that's the thing. It's about dedication to the mind, on improvement, like mental fitness. Yeah. It would be amazing if everyone learned it and lived it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So look, you mentioned it takes time. Speaking of time, I mean, you're in a high-powered job in a city that's pretty amazing, full of distractions. You have kids, you're really, really fit. I wish that everybody had that mental fitness and could commit the time, but it's just how do you do it? How do you find the time to kind of do all these things and have a rich and fulfilling life and not sacrifice focusing on that mental fitness?
Look, there's always time. There's always time. Time can never be excused. It's about your priorities. It's about your priorities. And it's about sitting down, you know, let's just say if we're lucky, we sleep 8 hours, we're at work 8 hours, and then, you know, we have 8 hours. You know, it's about writing down how are we spending that time? You know what I mean? And getting really, really productive about it. And then just say, is this for my goal or against my goal? And if watching 2 hours of Netflix one night because you're not having a great day is against your goal, okay, but then tomorrow I'm going to do X amount of the gym or hard work. As I said, nothing comes easy, but nothing's going to come unless you change. I mean, this is right now, I'm not sure about where you are, but people are getting cut, people are getting redundancies, there's job cuts. It's severe now. So doing your job is not good enough anymore. It's about additional, what you're going to do, add value, getting raving fans and things like that. And it's about prioritization. And also not being a martyr, own it, you know what I mean? And just like those friends, oh, I didn't have time to call you back. Well, you did, you chose not to. I'm not a priority. And it's about making those things, you know, going back to your compelling future, what is that? And therefore, what should my priorities be?
How do you prioritize? Do you have any particular ways that you do it, or you just kind of go with your gut?
Look, for me, as I said, I have created such habits through repetition. I'm a massive fan. You know, repetition is the master of skill. So for me, you know, I built my compelling future. I've got like a vision board, and it's affirmation, and it's kind of like what you focus on is what you're seeing. So you're constantly being seen by that. You know, especially in COVID in Singapore, we weren't allowed out of our house without a mask unless we were exercising. So every single day now, without fail, I exercise. And it's funny, if I haven't exercised, it feels really weird. And you know, in terms of, you know, show me your future, I'll show you your friends. I've found this community of people who are also really passionate about coaching and finding potential. And I really lean into that. And I just prioritize it because I know that's where my passion is. And then I get energy, like even speaking to you, like I know this is where I belong because, you know, whilst at the end of the day, I get exhausted from doing it, but when I'm in it, I love it. And that's what, you know, finding your passion is. It doesn't even feel like work. You're just there,
Yeah,
just in the moment.
I totally get it. So if you're talking to a woman who's finishing up university this year, for example, and she wants to get to that point where you are, where do you start? I mean, I get, you know, forming habits, it takes 30 days to form a habit, they say. Where do you start?
I would start by letting go of what you think your parents wanted you to do and the expectations that you think you need to potentially, you know, go into banking or lawyer or something to get a certain amount of money. I would let every single expectation go because I think that's why people get depressed and things. You know, they build up their career, they get married, they have 2 kids, and then they find themselves depressed because you're living someone else's kind of ideal of reality. And you know, unfortunately, we live in with social media, we're always comparing and things like that. So that's unfortunate. But my biggest advice to anyone would be starting out is, you know, what drives me, what motivates me, what's my purpose, who do I want to serve, how do I want to serve it, and thinking around that. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know my purpose, I don't know my passion. And I'm like, well, when was the last time you did something new? When was the last time you spoke to someone different? Volunteer, go to salsa dance, do things different, and it's through doing different things, or go intern places that you think you may be interested. And it's only through immersion of actually that you can actually find out what you don't want, which is great, and maybe perhaps a path on what you do want. So I think it's an exploration. I mean, I changed my career just like over a year ago, and it was completely different. So it is possible. But I would just let go of expectations. You know, I originally, I mean, I missed my start of my career, but I started my career as an accountant, living my parents' dream. And, you know, within a year, I mean, I ditched that and I felt so much better.
Mm. It's hard, especially when you're starting out, to admit that this is not my dream, but to kind of get outside your comfort zone and try these new things. You said before, there's always an excuse, right? It's more, I feel like it's an exploration almost in your own kind of self-awareness and honesty to yourself. Once you can admit, this is what I am, and I like this, I don't like this, and the only thing holding back me is me, a world of opportunities opens up.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Like, your parents have the best intentions, your partners, your friends have the best intentions, 100%. I don't disagree, but all of those people are not you. And I assure you, believe me, it took me many years of not feeling 100% right and being in pain and being isolated here from a family in Singapore to know that I'm living other people's dreams. And so that the really important thing, even if you're going to break your parents, just say they spend all the money on college for you to be a doctor, you don't want to do it. And it's about, Mum, you know, I want to wake up every day happy, and I feel like this is where, because only when you're happy is when you're going to succeed. That's it. You're not going to grow, you're not going to get bonuses, you're not going to get anything unless you like what you're doing. So it's about being honest, and I think it's about having that, not saying, oh, Mum, I'm not doing this and I'm going to just, you know, run away or something like that, but it's about, you know, having those tough conversations.
Thank you, Katie. That's really helpful. All right, last question, but a really, really important one. When this interview is over and whoever is watching it closes their computer or whatever, what is the one thing they can do today, right after this video, that can make the world a little better?
Oh, look, the world a little better. Wow, that's big. Look, I'm about, if we all made our own worlds better, then the world would be a better place. So what I would do is I would turn off the laptop and I would get out a notebook and I would get a pen and I would really start writing down in as much detail as possible. What do you really, really want for your future? What do you see? What's it now? And then kind of what are the qualities and skills and things that you need to work on. I think it's about, if you're not happy in this present moment, listing all that out, burning it, and writing that compelling future. And when I say burn it, like burn it. And you know, I'm a firm believer on visuals and doing visual boards, daily gratitude, everything like that. So it's about building that and sticking to it. Trust the process.
Thank you, Katie. Burning something sounds very cathartic. I've never actually tried that. Have you burned something before?
Sorry?
Have you burned, like, I don't know, the past before?
I haven't actually burned something, but I have walked across fire. I have, yeah. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar and we walked across 6 feet of fire. And that was kind of, you know, a metaphor of just getting on and thinking that you think that you can't do something until you do it. And that's the thing, people are too much in the strategy and not in the doing.
Okay, go out and do something. And if it means burning a notebook later, that's okay too. Just don't start a forest fire. And if you're in Australia, don't burn anything because there's always fire danger.
Definitely not in Australia.
Yeah, no. Been there, done that. July, we don't want any more international disasters. Whew, okay. Katie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I feel I need to evaluate some things, but it's a good thinking exercise. It's always nice. No, it's nice to hear somebody else's perspective. And, you know, for me, every interview is in some way kind of challenging how I think about the world. And, you know, I think I'm maybe in my comfort zone a little bit right now, and I'm doing interesting things. Coach Hari is doing interesting things, but I should try something new and something completely different. So that's what I will do this week. I'll try something completely new.
Cool.
Thank you so much. And
No
to everyone
worries.
who's watching, thank you for being here and listening and watching. And we'll see you here next time with another Wonder Woman. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.